Greetings, everyone. It's August 24th, 2017, and we're very happy to bring back Spiritual Astrologer Samyama Flowering Tree for another interview during this wild ride of August 2017. The first interview was all about the effect on each of us during the Great American Solar Eclipse of August 21st. So, how was the solar eclipse for you, Samyama?
Very wonderful. I felt high energy. Mm-hmm. I felt high-powered. And I felt like everything was blooming and blossoming around me, including myself. Mm-hmm. So I felt like I grew with the environment. And as the solar eclipse was going on, I felt a lot more surrendered to major forces at work, such as a solar eclipse like this. And I looked at the grass outside the window, and it looked dazzling. Everything was dazzling, including the leaves from the trees and the trees themselves. So I felt a feeling of very close to nature and watching nature all around me unfold. I was faced with the sight of the miracles of the One Beloved.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you know, it was very interesting for me because the whole week before I was just feeling really hyper. The energy was just flowing through my body. I could hardly even contain myself, you know, and then the eclipse happened and I calmed down a little bit. You know, do you think that the energies were profound for people?
Yes, and we will all never be the same again, in the sense that life on Earth and on our Milky Way accelerated to maybe about 360 times greater than it used to be, and even the insides of the planet Earth is very sacred and holy and divine to me.
Wow, that's so interesting. So, like, how should people expect to, like, will there be changes in the way people are, like in the way they work in their lives? Will there be changes?
It depends, because the environment changing has got something to do with context. It depends. If a person is on an inward journey, what occurred for us during the solar eclipse is just very compatible and in alignment with our inward growth, because the context changed. The environment surrounding us changed for the better, and there is obviously an advancement on everything in the universe. So basically, you are talking about our content as opposed to our context. Some will be in alignment with the new context and will create a new paradigm for themselves, a period of autonomy, which is very wonderful, and using the power of choice, which comes as one of our birthrights as children of God.
Interesting. And I know that also this was a very, very unique eclipse, of course, but also it was right in smack middle of Mercury going retrograde. which started August 13th, and will be here to September 5th and going direct September 6th. How, first, before we even talk about Mercury retrograde and how it affected us during the solar eclipse, can you tell us a little bit about what it means when Mercury is retrograde?
I think it is like beginner's mind. It's something new each time it happens. And this time when it occurred last August 21st, in harmony with Mercury retrograde, I felt Mercury retrograde rejoicing and celebrating the solar eclipse. And it felt lighter and more beautiful than ever. It's like seeing Mercury retrograde in action. It looked like he was moving backward. And you know how it's like when you're watching somebody dancing with the music on the dance floor and they're moving backward. It is so graceful. It's like a time for inner reflection because of the solar eclipse.
Yeah. And Mercury is usually a time of inner reflection, right?
Yes.
And what else can happen during Mercury retrograde?
A lot of pondering of someone's life.
Yeah.
A deepening of the inward journey. A time for intuiting what is happening in the environment in conjunction with one's life. It's a period of assessment where we are coming from in our relationships and when it comes to relating with our relationships. You know, I mean, relating is different from relationships sometimes. But if we want our relationships to work, we have to pay attention to how we are relating to one another, because that is a highly personal way of dealing with our loved ones, particularly our significant others. And it's got a lot to do with very intimacy.
Yeah, and I certainly do feel that at this time. I'm going very inward, and relationships are, it's very interesting. I actually feel like I am doing things in a different way. Let's just put it that way. But I know that also they say that Mercury retrograde, things go wrong. And this has happened to me as well. Like my computer is going off and there's miscommunications. So that can happen in Mercury retrograde as well, right?
Yes, yes. And I observed that also when, say, for instance, I'm giving a reading. Sometimes it can be recorded, and sometimes it is useless to even attempt to record. And what I'm saying is the energy of Mercury retrograde is so inward. It's so deep connection and a reenactment of the relationship of the son to the father. That sometimes it interferes with artificial energy.
Wow.
So it's understandable that it happens.
Yeah.
It is the time for the son to be in tune with the Father. I'm talking about the Father God, the Heavenly Father. And it is time for that communion between the two of them. And it's such a holy divine and sacred phenomena that, I don't know, maybe one of these days all the machines will stop when it is happening.
Oh.
Just, something like...
So it's like a disconnection.
Yes.
So it's like a disconnection so that we can connect to our spirit.
Yes.
Is that a good way of saying it?
Yes, so that we can connect deeply to our God within, to the God of our heart.
Yeah.
And is enthroned within.
That's very interesting, and that's very helpful to me, because I just get all caught up with, oh no, this recording didn't work yesterday. Just like I get caught up in the miscommunications, and I should just realize that it's the universe saying to me, let go of that. It's time to reflect. Yeah, that's very good. Thank you, Samyama. Just in the last piece, during this Mercury Retrograde solar eclipse combo, does it have anything to do with our specific chart? And I know this could be a very lengthy conversation, but just briefly, having anything to do with Leo. This is the time of Leo, and maybe in our charts we have Leo. Is there any correlation between our astrology chart and what's going on now, the solar eclipse and Mercury retrograde?
Yes, there is. And basically, just like Mercury retrograde, for instance, it impacts our communication, the way we self-express.
Yeah.
And the deeper we are capable of coming from the core of our being and our heart of hearts when we are speaking, even to ourselves, it matters. It deepens and deepens and deepens with time. And also when you are talking about the solar eclipse being in Leo, it impacts people born in the sun sign Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio.
Interesting.
And then the rest of the people who are actually aspecting planets in their charts with these particular 4 signs. So it's got something to do with that. But basically, the way we relate to our environment, the way we treat ourselves, the way we speak to our inner child. You know how it's like when some people would say something like, I was thinking of myself and what I did today when I was in my car driving. And I said to myself, you really shouldn't do that. You shouldn't have said that to the other driver. How could you? I mean, before we do something like that, just think it over. You are talking to the 2-3-year-old you when you were that age. So your inner child is almost powerless and helpless when listening to whatever you are putting into his or her head. And we have to pay attention how we treat our inner child. It is our dark shadows, because they always follow us wherever we go. The dark shadow and our inner child is not different from us. So we have to treat it with loving kindness and love it with our absolute might. For he has no one except us and our Father in heaven, the God of our hearts.
Wow, that's very beautiful, Samyama. I think I really needed to hear that. So I know you have so much to share with people, and we're going to talk. I'm going to talk after this session about how our listeners can connect with you and get a reading with you. So I will do that at the end of this interview. So I just want to thank you so much for giving us your wisdom and your love, and we'll do this again.
Thank you very much. It is a very great and a wonderful opportunity to share my heart with you. I love you very much.
I love you too. Thank you, Samyama. Bye-bye.
Samyama is offering a special astrological mini reading by email for $44 to talk about how you are being affected by Mercury Retrograde and the Eclipse. She will also answer any other questions you may have about what is going on for you at this time. If you would like to set up a mini reading with Samyama or schedule a complete 90-minute reading, contact her at gatesoflight@gmail.com. That's gatesoflight@gmail.com.